Hey everyone, it's Carla from Carla's Cakes and welcome to Carla in the Kitchen. Today is all about Oreos, one of my favorite cookies. I've stuffed my cake, my vanilla buttercream, with Oreos, and our cake batter is Oreo. So we got some chocolate Oreo, vanilla Oreo cake layered in between each other. I'm going to show you guys how to make this. I'm also going to show you how to decorate this cake. We're also going to make Oreo cupcakes, so filled with chocolate cream, some buttercream, and an Oreo on top. I'm excited, so let's get started. Time to make an Oreo cake. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite recipes ever. It's so delicious. I love Oreos, you love Oreos, they love Oreos, so let's make an Oreo cake and then we'll do the Oreo cupcakes. So for this recipe, I'm using my basic vanilla Carla's Cakes recipe for the batter. And for my chocolate, what I did was I just added half a cup of cocoa powder into my vanilla batter so that I have my two. So I've made two mixes. And what we need is Oreos because we're going to put this into our mix. So I've already prepared these. I have my mixer, so I'm going to start off with my vanilla just so that I don't have to clean my paddle later on. I can just switch it up. So we'll put this in and I'll start the stirring. This is a really fun and easy recipe to do. As always, I always try to come up with different ideas and different recipes that you can do easily from home and also that you can include the kids in, because I know kids like to get involved in these types of things and they love sweets and they love cakes and everything. So one step that they can do is we're going to pop in 10 Oreo cookies straight into our batter. So while this is mixing, I'll just put them in. And the reason I used to chop these up before putting it into the batter, but I found that my mixer just kind of breaks it up when I put them in anyway, so I'll just skip that step and you can just throw them in. So we'll put 10 of these in. And I'll put this on medium. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 Oreo cookies into our vanilla, and look at how gorgeous that looks. Oh my gosh, I love. Another little twist to this recipe is you can actually even add a blob of peanut butter into your batter. You can put it into your chocolate batter so that your white stays the same, because peanut butter and Oreos is a good combo. I'll put these in here. So that looks about good. We don't need to mix it too much. And I will just switch my bowl. So I'm going to put this one in here. And I'll just clean up my paddle just a little bit, but there's no need to completely wash it off because my vanilla, when I mix it with my chocolate, it won't be a strong taster. Anyways, this is a vanilla base, so it's totally okay. So I'll just clean this a little bit, and we'll just switch this out. Oh my gosh, look how gorgeous this is. Ah, I love it. I love it. And you know, you guys, you can do Oreos or you can do chocolate chip. Any type of favorite recipe, or sorry, favorite cookie that you want, you can do that. So I'll just mix this. I'll begin the mixing. And again, you can ask your kids or you can just throw in 10 Oreo cookies. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And if you want, you can add even more Oreos. So I like to use 10 Oreos for my recipe, but I have tried it once where I put 20 in each mix, and it was really good too. So whatever you guys want. You can either put 10 in each or 20 in each. So this looks good. I just put it on medium so that, put on medium so that it crunches up my Oreos. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. That looks good. Look at all that. Oh my gosh, it smells so good already. There's just, oh, I love it. And if you guys want, you can, even if you wanted to do the chocolate chip version instead of the Oreo version, you can use our chocolate chip Carla's Cakes recipe. Make some chocolate chip cookies, and then with those you can make, you can just throw those right into your batter, so then you get fresh homemade chocolate chip cookies, and then a fresh homemade cake. And you got some chunks of cookie in your cake, and it's delicious, and you can't have more than one slice, or you want to have more than one slice. So look at this. So you can see our chocolate batter is looking good. We have our Oreo pieces. Looks delicious. So like I said, I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. Always remember to preheat. Sometimes people skip the preheating and they just turn it on and then stick the cake in. But preheating is important so that you have a nice even rise when you bake your cake or when you're baking anything. All right. So I have 8-inch pans. You're going to need 4 8-inch pans because we're going to do 2 pans of the white and 2 pans of our chocolate. And what we're going to do when we build our cake is we're actually going to make it look like an Oreo. So it's going to be chocolate and then the 2 slices of vanilla and then chocolate at the bottom. So it's actually like a big, huge Oreo cake cookie or cookie cake. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of this in here just to show you guys like this. The consistency of this batter is phenomenal. It is absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to help this spread a little bit with my spatula, just because it is a thicker recipe. Also, the cream from the cookies, because we've mixed it all together, it creates kind of like a stickier batter, and it also adds to the delicious flavor of my all-time favorite Oreo cookie cake. Okay, so that looks good. I'll set that one aside. We're going to do the same thing with our vanilla. You know, I should have actually done the vanilla first so that I have a clean spatula. But that's okay. I'll just quickly go like this. But so at home, do the vanilla first so you can use the same spatula. You don't have to worry about cleaning it up. And then you do the chocolate. Okay, so then again, I would be doing 2 pans of the chocolate and 2 pans of my vanilla. But I'll just show you how to do this. Oh my gosh, doesn't this look so good? You can see the Oreo chunks. Some are smaller than others. There's crumbs in there. There's actual chunks of Oreo. And like I said, you could add the peanut butter into your chocolate, so you get an Oreo chocolate, an Oreo peanut butter cake. Okay, so that looks awesome. So I'm going to stick this into my preheated oven of 355 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to again have 4 pans and put that in there. And once that's ready, we will do our professional leveling and torting and stacking, which I'll show you guys how to do. Looks awesome. So now let's get all these yummy cakes together to make our giant Oreo cake. I've baked these for 25 to 30 minutes. They look delicious. They smell beautiful. So we have 2 chocolate Oreo cakes and 2 vanilla Oreo cakes. And you can actually see in the vanilla, if I flip this, you'll see how beautiful it looks. You can see all the Oreo pieces baked right into the cake. So it's really yummy. It's really moist and delicious. Now what we got to do is we have to level the cake. So leveling, if you remember, is see the dome at the top, is we're going to remove that dome, also known as the crown. So to do that, I have my leveler right here. You can get this at any cake shop. I'm just going to do a seesaw motion and cut the dome off. Just like this. My extra piece I will put here. And I'm going to do the same thing, and you can see the Oreo pieces right into the cake. I'm going to do the same thing with my other cakes. Just like that. If you don't have a leveler, don't worry about it. You can use a knife. Just make sure that you're making an even cut when you're using your knife, because the point of leveling is to get a nice straight surface so that when we build our cake, it doesn't slant or tip over. So same thing. So this one. With our vanilla. So this is going to be the bottom and the top of the cake. And these, oh my gosh, they're so moist. I wish you guys could feel this. This is going to be our vanilla center, just like an Oreo cookie. And same thing with my last one. Perfect. Looks great. These pieces of cake you can keep aside and actually use the tops of your cakes to make cake pops. So you don't want any of them to go to waste. So that looks gorgeous. You can see the Oreos. Now I have my Lazy Susan, which I love because it helps me when I'm decorating my cake. And I have a 10-inch cake board because I have 8-inch cakes, so I want that to go right in the center. I'm going to start off by putting a small dab of icing in the middle. I pre-made my Carla's Cakes vanilla buttercream, which you guys can make from home. Follow the recipe. So as you remember, we're going to use a chocolate base. So I put a little bit of icing at the bottom. Now I'll put my chocolate, and the icing is just going to help my cake stick to my board. So just like that. And you can have a handy wet cloth on the side so you can clean up your hands, make sure it's clean. And now we're just going to put some icing into the center. So I'll grab a spoon. Again, there's lots of icing in this cake, so you don't have to put too much in the center. And you guys can get creative. You can put anything you want into the middle of your cake. Fill it up with syrup, with any sort of spread that you might like. You know that I love Nutella, so if you want to do Nutella, I'm going to say that's okay. That's a good idea. Okay, that looks good. Or peanut butter, because Oreo and peanut butter is a delicious combination. So that looks good. Now I'm going to put my vanilla. So again, I like to put the cut side down. That way when I am spreading my icing, it doesn't rip off the crumbs. So if you put it down, it's kind of sealed in and it's easier for spreading. So this looks good. I'm just going to make sure it's centered. Okay, again, I'll put a big dab in the center and spread. And people always ask me how I started baking, how I started Carla's Cakes. And it actually started when I was in university, believe it or not. I would bring my baked goods. I would find any recipe that I felt like trying, and I would make my recipe, bring them to school for my professors. So I'm going to put my vanilla again. For my professors, and I was like trying to kind of get some better marks. No, I was a good student, but it would kind of help me a little bit. And you know, that way they know who I am, and maybe they would help me out, give me extra credit, or I'm just joking. But no, I'm serious about that. I would bring my baked goods to school, and my professors loved them. And in school, one of the students, I think I brought, I think it was my brownie recipe that I had brought in, and it was super popular in my class. I brought it in, and everyone was taking a piece. And someone in my class was like, hey, can I order some from you? And I was like, yeah, sure. But I didn't know how much to charge because, you know, it was my first time. But from then on, I started to sell my baked goods, and everyone loved everything that I was making. So then I would bring it to school, I would try new recipes, and they would be my guinea pigs, you know? 'Cause that's what school's about. It's all about projects, right? And testing out with your friends different experiments. So this looks good. I'm just going to center this a little bit on the side here. So we have our chocolate, our vanilla, and chocolate. So it's a giant Oreo cookie. Now we just have to put icing on the outside of our cake, and then I'll show you how to easily decorate this. So I'm just going to put a lot at the top to start off. I always like to use more at the beginning, and then I can take off any excess. So I'm just spreading this at the top of my cake. And I'm just making an even layer. Crumb coating is a good idea when you're making cakes. For this cake, I don't necessarily crumb coat because it is nice to see those chunks of Oreo and cake in your buttercream, since you do want to show that it's an Oreo cake. So I like the look of it. But if you want, you can crumb coat. And for those of you who don't know, crumb coating is just a thin layer of icing that we put on the cake before putting our main layer of icing. So this, I'm just going to lift it up a bit. So depending on what kind of cookie you're using for the filling is the type of cookie you will use for the decorating. This is awesome for birthdays. All cakes are good for birthdays. It's good for a barbecue too if you're having, you know, some friends over for a barbecue during the summertime, or for fall. Fall barbecues are great for fall time too. And you can just make a nice yummy cake. Also, if it's game night, they're gonna love this cake. What guy doesn't love chunks of cookie and cake and buttercream? And if you want to put peanut butter to get some protein in there for them, that's a good idea too. Okay. It's funny, when I was working at the cupcake cart, it was always, most of my clientele is females who would come and get my cupcakes, and older families and everything. But I'd always see the guys walking by the cart, and they'd, you know, eye the cupcakes, and they'd want to maybe get one. So they'd come and ask me, you know, do any of your cupcakes, you know, have protein or anything in them? I think this would make them, give them a reason to buy the cupcake that they obviously want to get. And I told them, you know, our peanut butter, our chocolate peanut butter one has protein. And then all the guys would start getting the protein ones, or the peanut butter, chocolate peanut butter ones. So this looks good. I'm just going to use my larger one to just kind of clean the sides a bit. Does not look great. Cool, perfect. So that looks good. I'm just going to clean the bottom like that. Now, I've just filled up my bag, my piping bag, with my icing, and I'm using a 1M tip. So this is just the star tip, as you can see here. This is to create that star design. So I'm just going to put some stars at the top. So I'm just going to go diagonally or across from each other so I can make it even. So that's 4, and then I'm going to put 1 in the center of those, in between them. So like this. So I'm just putting pressure and then releasing. So I put pressure, release, and then I remove. Because if you put pressure and remove at the same time, then you're just going to get a long kind of star, and you don't want that. So put pressure, release, and then you remove your tip from the top. Oh, and with this as well, we can do a border. So what I'm going to do is just make a line that goes all the way across, like this. There we go. Looks good. And with our Oreos, I'm going to take an Oreo and put 1 Oreo on top of each star. Just like that. Doesn't it look delicious? It looks like a store-bought cake, right? And you can make this at home. So that looks awesome. And if you want to, you can crunch up some, you can crunch up some Oreos. My hands are clean, so I'm just going to use my hands. Just crunch some in the plate here. And we can put this right in the center. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Okay, so we'll just put that right in the center of your cake, just like that. Make that look pretty. Put a little more. And then I can just sprinkle some around just to the crumbs. So super easy. How was that? And that looks good. And don't worry about the mess. We can clean that up. So that looks great. I'm going to stick this into the fridge for about 20 minutes just so that everything can get together. And then later on, we'll take a slice out of this cake to see how it looks on the inside. So we've already prepared our Oreo batter. So earlier on we did a vanilla Oreo batter and a chocolate Oreo batter, and we made our beautiful cake. Now I'm going to show you how to make matching cupcakes to go with the cake. So if you're doing an awesome Oreo party, or if you're doing a party with an Oreo cake, you want to have the matching cupcakes, I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, I mentioned earlier, this is a really good idea for game night. I think it would be awesome. Show up with a beautiful chunky Oreo cake and have some cupcakes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need, as always, for a cupcake recipe is the cupcake pan, as well as cupcake liners. And I chose these really cute black and white ones. Since we're doing Oreo, we have to go with a black and white theme. I have my leftover, what I had left over from my cake mix. I have my batter, vanilla and chocolate, which is mixed with Oreos. And I have a large ice cream scoop because this is a really awesome way to scoop in your batter into your liners. If you don't have an ice cream scoop, or if you don't have an easy one, this one's great because it kind of swipes it out when you're pouring the batter. But if you don't have one of these, you can just use a spoon. So sometimes you can just use 2 spoons. So grab 1 spoon and kind of just pour the batter out with that. So this is for preparing the cupcakes. Then I'll show you guys how to fill the cupcakes with a delicious chocolate filling, and we'll top it off with some Carla's Cakes buttercream, as always, and some chopped up Oreos. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in our cupcake liners straight into our pan. And you know, if you wanted to make this even more Oreo-y, you can put a full cookie at the bottom of your pan, then you put your Oreo base on top. Also, what you can do is make an Oreo peanut butter sandwich. So you do Oreo, peanut butter, and then another Oreo on top. And then you put that into your liner and then put the batter on top. So when you bite into the cupcake, you have an Oreo cake or an Oreo cupcake with an Oreo peanut butter sandwich in the center. It sounds delicious, and it is delicious. I've done it many times. So to do this, I'll show you guys. I'll start off with my vanilla. You're just going to take a scoop, just like this, and plop it right in. And look how easy that is. So much easier than doing it with spoons. So I would invest in an ice cream scoop if you can. Again, this is definitely something that you can get the kids to help out in. Just get them to do the scooping and the popping. Just watch out, they might take some bites out of the icing or the, the vanilla batter. But don't let them do that because of the raw eggs. Okay, and I'll do the same with my chocolate. So don't worry about that vanilla, because even if you see the vanilla in the chocolate, it looks yummy. Like, because it has kind of like that vanilla chocolate swirl that represents the Oreo. So just like that. Look, I can see this chunk of Oreo right here. I'm going to grab that guy. Put that right in here. So I preheated my oven, as always, to 350 degrees. And once that's hot enough, I'm going to put my cupcakes straight into the oven for 18 to 20 minutes. So that seems to be the perfect temperature, the perfect amount of time. So that looks good. I have already prepared my cupcakes over here. So I'll just set this aside. And now I'll show you guys how to fill these cupcakes. So that's something we haven't done yet. So for that, I have my icing bag. And I'm using this long tip here. You can get this at the you can get this at any cake supply store. And it's actually a long tip that's made for filling. And I filled this bag with a chocolate pudding, but you can fill it with anything that you want. You can do vanilla pudding, chocolate pudding. You can put caramel, whatever you'd like. I've already filled up the vanillas, as you can see, but I'll show you how I did that so that we can do the chocolate together. So this is a really good idea because then when you bite into your cupcake, you get a nice, delicious cream on the inside. So what you do is you're just going to insert the top straight into your cupcake and just squeeze out. And as you squeeze, you just lift. So you're pushing and lifting at the same time so that it fills up your cupcake. So again, I'm just pushing this in. Don't worry if it comes out, that's kind of a good thing. And just push out. So just like that. So you're squeezing, lifting, releasing, and pulling out. So I'm going to do the same thing all the way through. So squeeze, lift, and then release. Just like that. And you can do this for any type of cupcake. So even if you're not doing an Oreo cupcake and you're doing maybe like a lemon cupcake, you can fill it up with some raspberry on the inside. That would be a really delicious option. So our cupcakes are ready. Now let's ice them. Again, I'm using my 1M tip. I love this tip for icing. I think it looks great. I think it's beautiful. If you don't want to use the 1M, if you don't want to use the 1M, then you can use the round tip, or you can use a spatula, and you can just kind of spread that around your cupcake to create a nice flat surface. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing, putting pressure, and then releasing. So as always, I put pressure when I begin, and I release before removing my tip from the cupcake. So pressure, release, and then remove. So just like that. We have beautiful cupcakes. And you can sprinkle these with some Oreo crumbs if you'd like, or you can keep them as is, which is what I'm doing. And I've cut up into, so each cookie I cut them into 4. So I have 12 delicious cookie bites. Because we have so much Oreo in the batter already. So you can put a full Oreo if you want, but I think a quarter is good enough. Because we got the Oreo on the inside, we got the pudding on the inside, we got our buttercream, and we topped it off with some beautiful cookies. Doesn't it look awesome? It looks so cute. It's one of my favorite recipes. I hope you guys like it and are wanting to do it at home. Now let's take a slice out of that cake that we did earlier. I let it sit in the fridge for 20 minutes and I just took it out now so that we can cut it together. I'm so excited. Okay. It's the moment of truth. I don't know if it's the moment of truth or the moment of truce. I don't know. So, but whatever. So I'm going to cut this. I'll take a plate. So let's do this. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's a nice tall cake. Lots of cake in this. Remove our knife. And I'll take a slice. Are you guys excited? And wow, that looks so awesome. Oh, just gotta remove this from my knife. So there we go. Look at that. Look at that beautiful Oreo cake. So we got chocolate at the bottom, vanilla in the center, chocolate at the top. Looks like an Oreo on the inside. It's filled with Oreos on the inside. So we got our vanilla, our chocolate cake. We have our buttercream, chunks of Oreos. We have our beautiful Oreo matching cupcakes so you can see on the inside. How beautiful does this all look? I just love doing these types of things. Thank you so much for watching. I had so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the recipes. All of our recipes are on the website, so feel free to go on there and check them out. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And have fun eating your delicious Oreo cake and cupcakes. Thank you so much for watching. Carla in the kitchen.